So yes, so thank you to everyone who watches this channel. Thank you to you guys for making presentations. This truly, genuinely has been life changing for me to even be able to get to work on this stuff, and I'm very glad that Swag hasn't fired me because my other managers seem to have a real problem with it. So everything's going to be anonymized here. All you need to know for context about this story is that I worked for a news company. More specifically, I worked for a news company in Siberia. Very very cold. There's the presence of extreme weather was involved in my job. And we'll
Our
get
winter wasn't even that bad this year. What the hell?
well in my
In
area it was.
Siberia, I
In
think a mild
Siberia.
winter is like -40. So
So yeah, everything's been anonymized. I will mention names. All names have been anonymized. My former manager is very litigious. He made that quite clear when we were working. He would say things like, "We will prosecute to the fullest extent of the law if anything happened that he was kind of upset about." So I'm just not even going to tempt him. I as much as I want to call him out because he has a stupid name. His first name is so embarrassing that he goes by a different first name. At the news station, and I
was
really
gonna guess the name, but I don't want to offend anybody.
No, I guarantee you can't. It's a really pathetic sissy name that he should be embarrassed about. As someone with a girl's name myself, he should be embarrassed about his dumbass name. Anyway,
Is he a boy named Sue?
He's not a boy named Sue.
This is just
Goated reference, though.
So I got fired again. Last time the story was very different. And this is why being fired twice for managerial incompetence really sucks, because it was different kinds of incompetence. Last time, if you guys remember, basically I was fired. The reason given was that I was fired for a budget cut, and I have some sneaking suspicions that may have been involved this time as well, but like I said, we'll get to that. But the main thing is that last time, everybody who was involved had no ill will towards me by the time I left, as far as I know. Like I have met and encountered my former manager from event company in the wild a couple of times. As a matter of fact, because I got a job in news and my former job was events, there was actually some overlap between places that I would go and people from my former workplace were working at, and none of them had any ill will towards me by the end of it. I don't know if that's true or not this time, and that's genuine. I have no idea how management currently feels about me. I know my former coworkers all loved me and they were very upset when I got terminated, but we'll get to that.
Ooh.
So this time around, my former role, the first thing that I got fired from was being a video production specialist, similar to my role here, except I was also going out and getting footage. There's not really much footage to record for, animated YouTubers. But I went from being a video production specialist to an overnight photographer for a news station. And in the bottom left corner, I have news with the bullshit, because that is functionally where I started working. As an overnight photographer, my responsibilities were... First, Skipty's pregnant. I forgot to put this slide in. Skipty is pregnant, and this is important to the story. This was just an emergency. I had to put this slide in.
Skipty baby.
That is Skipty baby. Look at my gorgeous, amazing child. She will come into this world and be the sole beacon of light around which I warm my heart.
Kind of look like a squid.
Might be a squid. We're not entirely sure. Could be a squid in there.
Blobfish moment.
And this, so it's a recent announcement for the YouTube channel, but I told my workplace about this functionally in real time, because, you have to plan your paternity leave and stuff. So almost as soon as I told my family, I also told my coworkers and management, because I had to figure out, benefits and leave and all those things. So the company knew that I was expecting a kid, and they fired me anyway. And we'll get to that. I liked my job, and I was pretty good at it. The responsibilities that I had to take care of were... Oh, wait, I'll actually go back. The responsibilities I had to take care of were to record footage, basically listen to a police scanner all night from 1 in the morning to 9 in the morning.
Jesus.
So, like I said,
Were you Nightcrawler?
yes, I was literally Nightcrawler. I told anytime someone asked me what my job was, I would say go watch the film Nightcrawler, because that was literally what I had to do. I sat in a newsroom, shoulder to shoulder with my producer, and we would listen to the police scanner, and we would check social media, and if anything came up, like if there was a call for a fire, that was the big one, or if we got reports of a shooting, anything like that, it was my responsibility to drive towards whatever was going on. Yeah, drive towards the shooting. Me and my reporter literally were at an active crime scene where police officers were searching apartments for someone who had just killed a man. And that was our job, was to go and do that. And I did that for about a year, and I really liked it. I was quite good at it. I received praise from everybody on my team for my competence, my level of education in how to ethically do all of these things, as well as my boldness, because I did in fact ask questions. I was more than a photographer. Several times I was actually on camera doing interviews. So it was a job that I was quite good at, and I liked, and I had a lot of freedom to take care of it. And this is the next series of slides, is I want to talk about what I liked. So I really liked my team. I don't think I've ever met a group of young professionals who I got along with quite so well. I still have lasting friendships with everybody that I worked with. One of my reporter actually threw my gender reveal party for my child, and I still keep in touch with them. What's really interesting is that everybody on the team was fresh out of college, and it's never a good sign when a workplace is almost fully staffed by brand new employees, because it means their ability to retain talent, or their desire to retain talent, is borderline non-existent. And that was something I was conscious of even on day one. I was thinking, wow, I am the oldest person here, and I'm 26.
Oof.
So that was a red flag. And my producer even felt somewhat like he was tricked into the role that he had, because he worked the same hours as me, except where I am a freak and was perfectly willing to just change my entire sleep schedule so that I was asleep from the hours of 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. He wanted a life outside of work, and so he kept asking for a daytime shift, because he had been working there longer than I had, and they just kept shifting the goalposts over and over again. And I think even now he may or may not still be working mornings. I think he got moved to night side, but it took well over 6 months after he was promised that position for them to move their feet on it. And it was because they so desperately needed a producer. I'll get to all of this. Don't worry. It is a very dysfunctional workplace. But things that I like.
Yeah, I was about to say, sounds like a real healthy workplace environment.
But continuing with things that I liked. The hours, like I said, I worked from 1 a.m. to 9 a.m. I got a 1-hour lunch break at 5 a.m., which I really enjoyed. And that wasn't necessarily it was more like a 1-hour lunch break at 4. That wasn't necessarily because it was the best time, more like there was nothing to do. My first few hours of work were editing videos from our national coverage, and then I pretty much had nothing until the news starts, which is at like 4:30 or 5-ish. So I just had to kind of twiddle my thumbs. And because I could still get 8 hours of work in, if I took a 1-hour lunch break, I just went home and ate lunch and then came back and did my other 4 hours of my shift. I really like driving around at night. I especially enjoy, no traffic. I live in not necessarily a big city, but more suburban than other places that I've lived, and there definitely is traffic occasionally, and so being able to just drive around on my own, not have to worry about anybody else, was pretty fun. And while working the night shift, I met my now girlfriend, the gorgeous April, who is pregnant with my child. And that wouldn't have happened if I wasn't working nights, because I could go back in our Facebook Messenger to the very first message I ever sent her, which was literally, "Hi, I need somebody to talk to in the midnight hours. I see you're pretty much always active during these hours. Can we play some games or something when I'm off work?" because
I've been looking at your profile at midnight.
Well,
I see that you're active again.
like we were friends already, and I'm scrolling through my Facebook feed, and I see that she's posting memes at 1:30 in the morning because she had some trouble sleeping at the time. And so it's like, hey, I also am not asleep at 2 in the morning. You want to play Fortnite?
Where are we dropping?
So there's some more modern dating tips for y'all who just watched Cullen's most recent How to Be an Adult video. Just chat with people. Just strike up a conversation.
That's how my ex and I got together. Was I had COVID and she was unemployed, and so we went from casually just like sending a meme to each other to talking all the time. Mm-hmm. Because I couldn't do anything. I was sick as a dog, and she didn't have a job, and so we started talking a lot more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Cute.
Just strike up a conversation. You never know what's going to happen. I also liked the work. I enjoyed the thrill of showing up and not knowing what my day was going to look like. When this is kind of a meme, and Tyler and I used to joke about this actually, where during an interview you'd ask, "What's a typical workday like?" And whoever your interviewer is would say, "Oh, well, every day's different, but like you can pretty much guarantee once you are there for like 2 weeks, you kind of know what your job is going to be like every day." This was definitely not that. I could show up for an interview and then in the middle of it get a phone call saying, "Hey, we need you 30 minutes away in another town over, some big announcement was just made, or someone was just shot, or there's no guarantees about anything." It is a very dynamic workplace environment that I enjoyed. I also really liked working with my reporter. She was very talented. She was also fresh out of college, but she was one of the most talented people that I've had the pleasure of working with. She was chronically late, but that's pretty much my only complaint. Otherwise, she was a very skilled reporter who was very professional on the job, and always, and I mean always, 5 days a week, had something scheduled for us to go and get interviews for, even though she had zero workplace experience and zero connections because she had just moved to Siberia from where she had went to college on the East Coast. So no connections, no nothing. Yeah, the Netherlands.
The East Coast of Siberia.
Yeah. No connections, no nothing, and she managed to get live shots scheduled every single day. I to this day, hold all reporters that I meet to that standard because she was just fantastic.
No, I have a comment before you continue. Yeah. What's the likelihood, again, without like doxing too much info, that your coworkers, also hi, if anybody's listening that knows Skipty from Siberia at the workstation and whatnot, how many of them know? How many of them know about our channel, and how many of them will eventually watch this scathing YouTube video?
Oh, so I will be sending this video, just like I did the last time I was fired. I will be sending this video to all of my former coworkers because, and I'll mention this again at the end, my main message is quit your job. Like just if you're unhappy, don't stay there. Like when I got fired, my first instinct was to try and fight getting fired because I wanted the benefits and had nothing else planned. Like I did not have any secure way to get income at the time. So I wanted to get rehired. I wanted to fight my termination. And half of my coworkers said, "Why?" Like, if you guys are so unhappy that you don't want me, a coworker that you enjoyed working with, to come back to the station, why are you guys even still there? Like,
true.
It just doesn't make any sense to me. If everyone's miserable, why are you sticking it out?
You just described the concept of like a labor union.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That's also the reason why they started giving people health insurance back in the day, because it made it it gave you less incentive to leave and go to other places because you have to change your insurance. If your employer provides your insurance,
this is correct.
You are incentivized to stay there, even though statistically you will make more money if you job hop. But you'll lose your benefits.
Right.
And so it's literally a plot to keep people where they are.
And what's fascinating...
and what's funny, sorry to interrupt, but it used to be worse. Like, that's just a funny concept to imagine. Before, like, labor unions, I mean.
Mm-hmm. And, man, I wish that unions were even an option here in Siberia, but it's not. It's a right to
Yeah.
work, right to work state. There is absolutely zero recourse. That's why so many people said, "Oh, it's a clear case of wrongful termination." I'll get to why I was fired. Don't worry.
I feel your pain, brother. Right to work state here too.
Yeah, they were like, "Oh, it's a clear case of wrongful termination. Weren't you under contract or something?" No contracts, no nothing. They can fire me whenever they want. I could have quit whenever I wanted, which is why, once again, to all of my colleagues, quit your job. If you're unhappy, leave. It would delight me to see that station go under and for our former boss to be jobless. I want that man to have the same heart attack that he gave me when he fired me for no reason. But we'll get to that. The last thing I liked was the freedom. My work was largely unsupervised because management just couldn't be fucked to show up for morning shifts, and that actually leads to one of the worst events in the entire company, in my opinion. And that's coming. That's a few slides away. But management just straight up would not show up to work, and then they would come to work, especially our news director. She would show up to work and say like, "Oh, I wanna make this change, or I think that this isn't doing so well." And I'd ask her, "Have you been watching the show?" And she'd say, "Oh yeah, absolutely." No, I can guarantee the only part of the show she watched was the last half hour of our programming, because I think she would put it on as like a podcast on her way into work, but she would pretend like that was the equivalent, watching the last hour of a 3.5 hour broadcast. She would pretend like that was the equivalent of watching the whole thing. And it's not. So please don't pretend like you understand my work when you are not watching anything that I'm doing and you've never done my job before. Sorry. I also had the most practical experience of anybody at that station. Like I said, most of the people I was working with were college graduates, so it was a lot of questions would come to me, even though I was the most junior person at the station, because I had answers. I had done stuff like this for a while. And again, if you're the newest person at a workplace and people are coming to you for advice, probably means there's not great training, and there aren't very many people to answer those questions outside of you. I was also, like I said before, able to do my own live shots. I was very comfortable on camera. Shocker, I'm good doing live presentations in front of people. It's something that I'm pretty comfortable doing. This YouTube channel actually trained me somewhat. The only difference is being on camera versus being a little animated guy, which I do prefer. But it was work that I enjoyed and I liked, and I was genuinely heartbroken when I got terminated. So just briefly, I'm going to go over the roles of everybody in a news station. Once again, no names present are the names of anyone I actually worked with. It would just be, it's just easier for me to have names to refer back to in case, something specific happened and specific people were involved. So first is the role of photographer, which was me. Lowest on the totem pole. It's actually one of the only positions in the station that is not put under contract, which is interesting because contracts in this state are unenforceable. Anyone at that station could quit, and they would not be able to be charged. I think it's like a $300 breach of contract fine. That is completely not able to be done in this state. So why those contracts even exist, I'm not entirely sure. Several people, 1, were fired, and 2 left before their contracts were up during my tenure at this news station, and not a single one of them paid anything to the station, as far as I'm aware. And the station didn't pay anything to them either.
Brilliant.
So I've already gone over my responsibilities: listen to the police scanner, edit footage from national programming, and follow our reporter when we did live shots. Next up, we'll call her Haley, was my reporter. She scheduled live interviews. She also recorded and edited news packages. If you're unfamiliar with the lingo, a package is basically just a 90-second narrated news piece of a specific story, because news is broken up into chunks or... oh man, I'm already losing the vernacular. I've only been gone for 2 months. The blocks, there we go. A block, B block, C block. It's all broken up into sections of programming, so we had to get content to fill it. So Haley would record and edit packages and would also fill in at the news anchor desk if one of the anchors was gone for the day. Then we had Kevin, who was my producer. I liked him a lot. I wish that I had become closer friends to him before I got fired, because he's one of the most interesting people that I've ever met. Once again, fresh out of college, Kevin wrote scripts, and very similar to Swag, he couldn't help himself from doing full script rewrites. and he would like basically download content from our national sources and then do a full rewrite, and then question why it was taking him so long, because no one trained him. He had, I think, 6 months of training under the previous producer, who had something like 20 years of experience before she retired, because she saw the writing on the wall that the station was going south pretty fast. And so we went from having like 20 years of experience in the newsroom to a total of like 3 months, because the first few months of his job there were completely different. He was working a different shift. He wasn't doing the same responsibilities. And his main goal was to follow the news director's vision. And that is an important point that we will get to. We had the news director, Angela. Me and Angela never really got along. So her responsibilities were to assign stories, proofread all content, or like proof watch all content, and provide a unifying vision for the content. So she would get tasked by management to do something like change up how our weather blocks worked, for example. And if anyone from that news station is currently watching, a chill just went down their spine, because what she would do is not tell anybody that she had to make some sort of change, either because it was a corporate requirement or, you know, our boss wanted her to make the change. She wouldn't tell anybody about it. She would procrastinate until the last possible second, and then she would make some sweeping change without telling almost anybody. This was a recurring problem, and then not show up to work when we had to implement it. So like I said, our shift was at 4 a.m, and management, because they're lazy assholes, wouldn't come in until, you know, their workday starts at 8 or 9, which is after our programming was done. So imagine making a huge change to your show and then not having the decency to come in when it's supposed to go live to ensure everybody involved knows how to get it done. You just leave a sticky note on someone's desk saying, hey, do this now. And then when it doesn't get done the exact way you wanted it to, complaining that no one was paying attention, even though you literally don't work the same shift as us and you don't tell us anything.
Fuck you, Angela.
Yeah.
There, I said it.
Yeah, fuck you, Angela.
You weren't paying attention to my thoughts, you fool.
Yeah. And then Dwight, and yes, I did name them Dwight and Angela after characters from The Office, because they are that unlikable and they are perfect for each other. So Dwight's responsibilities were manage advertising, track station viewership, and manage expenses. Dwight is the big boss, who I'll refer to every so often. He's the one with the pathetic idiot name, which I can't say. And I truly do not like Dwight for many reasons. There were several instances of his genuine personality showing through that proved to me that he is an angry, violent man who wants to rule his tiny little cubicle farm by fear, because it gets him hard to know that an office full of people are afraid of him. That is just what he enjoys in life, and that is not the style of management that I can really get behind. I should note that I never had a conversation with him about this. This is just a general clash of personality that didn't have anything to do with me getting fired, as far as I know. It's just, that's the kind of guy he is, and that's important for understanding why he made this executive decision to fire me.
We love men with daddy issues, don't we?
Oh, yeah. So the timeline, the rise and fall of Skipty the Newsboy. First, like I said, the entire team was fresh out of college. As soon as I got there, I was actually taking over for the overnight photographer prior to me, who was leaving to become a reporter for the station. He was getting out of that role to become a reporter. He was in that role for all of like 4 months, and then breached his contract by moving back to his hometown and working for a newspaper instead. Which I think is really funny, because once again, the contracts are totally unenforceable, and no one ever came after him for, you know, needing to pay anything. And he just decided that he did not want to work in that environment anymore, which is, once again, what I encourage all of my former colleagues to do. The people working in that newsroom with me were my reporter, who I've mentioned already, and 2 producers. So we had Kevin, who was my buddy. He worked basically the exact same hours as me. But there was another producer who came in a little bit later, so that, he would work on the first half of the show and she would work on the last half of the show, because 3 hours of content is just too much for one person to read and write and get edited, which didn't stop management from forcing Kevin into that position several times. When the other producer would take time off, Kevin would basically get told, yeah, well, no one else at the station wants to come in that early, so you're on your own.
Jesus, poor fucking Kevin. My God.
Yeah. And it was, and that happened so many times. There were several days where Kevin, if I took a day off, or was unavailable, here's a really fun thing that definitely happens. If the second producer had time off and I got called away for a live shot, if there was a fire, which happened 2 or 3 times, then Kevin was all on his own to write all the scripts for 3.5 hours of news, download all of the footage, get it cut together himself, and get it on the anchors' desks, because news anchors are also supposed to be backup producers. They proofread the scripts and they rewrite things, but our anchors didn't show up until 10 minutes before the show. If they got to the station early, it was to put on their makeup in the makeup room. They almost never touched scripts, as far as I know. So yeah, several days came down to just Kevin in the office, doing all of this on his own.
The entire infrastructure of this news establishment is held together by a guy named Kevin.
Yeah.
One guy.
And what was really fascinating was that if he made a misstep, management would say, oh, why'd you include this story? Or why did you phrase it like this? All of that stuff. But in another breath, they would say, well, if you're the only one at the station, then you've just got to make decisions yourself, because he would ask them for guidance. He would straight up say,
oh my God,
what am I supposed to do in this situation? And they would say, well, I guess it's just your decision. And then if he made the wrong decision, they would get pissed at him.
That's just...
Said skill issue forehead.
Yeah.
Lol.
This kind of delusion is actually rage-inducing. I feel your frustration for you, just imagining the workplace scenarios that I've experienced and projecting myself onto your story right now. I'm getting frustrated because I've been there, not this bad, but it's just frustrating as fuck.
I feel sorry to interrupt again, but I feel like this is just half of this presentation is just Skipty's radicalization journey.
Of course. No, there's no journey. There's no journey. I will 100%.
He's already arrived. He's just telling us about the journey.
I will tell all of you right now, quit your jobs and stop buying things, because capitalism needs to explode. But I don't know if I'm allowed to make a presentation about that just yet.
I haven't tried.
So that's the workplace. My reporter, I've mentioned her already, Haley, very talented MMJ, but chronically undermanaged. Like I said, she was late constantly. And one of the there's a story that will come up a little bit later. But essentially, she had all of this expectation and responsibility on her as the only reporter in the mornings, with nobody to train her, because as far as I know, she didn't even get formal training. They just saw that she went to a good journalism college and said, hey, you can just be a drag and drop reporter, right? We don't need to do anything for you. I don't really remember there being an official reporter that we were shadowing before she stepped into the role. I could be wrong. She might correct me, but I'm fairly certain she just had to figure it all out on her own. And her tardiness didn't really come from laziness on her part. I mean, okay, she would oversleep her alarms, and several mornings I would call and say, hey, Haley, where are you at? And I would hear her just go, because she had just woken up. My phone call woke her up. But she never got talked to by management about it, because by the time her shift was over, she was out of the building and management had no idea that she had been late, or that we were all scrambling to get stuff filled before, her appointment, because she had been late to it. So management had pretty much no idea and therefore never paid attention when we would complain about the lateness because, like, I didn't expect her to be perfect, but I expected management to say, hey, this isn't college, you have to be on time. And they just never did. So really no fault of her own. She had no formal workplace experience and no one was training her. So the first signs of trouble. Does anyone in the chat know who these two people are? Besides Tyler, I know obviously that you know them.
Oh, that's my boy Tim Waltz. I don't know the guy on the right.
Is that Trump cabinet member Doug Burgum?
That is Secretary.
Doug Burgum.
That is in fact the Secretary of. Oh man, what is it? What's the National Parks District under? Jack, please.
Forest and Wildlife Service.
I don't remember, but
he's the fucking head of the forest. Oh my god!
It's the Forestry Service, isn't it?
I don't know.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's right. That's the. I think that's what you call it.
But yes, this is former vice presidential candidates Tim Walz and Doug Burgum. So fun fact, because I worked at a Midwestern news station, we cared a whole lot that 2 Midwestern governors were selected for the vice presidential, were potentially being selected as vice presidential candidates. So unfortunately, Mr. Douglas Bergheim did not get selected. But Timothy Walz, a man almost universally despised by his home state, by half of his home state, was selected as vice presidential candidate. And I was in the newsroom with, I think, 5 other people. This was either like in the middle of or after a morning show had finished. I was in the newsroom, and the announcement that Tim Walz would be Kamala Harris's vice presidential candidate came through on I think it was CBS. When you have their website open and you are a news station, CBS's New York headquarters can do like a beep, beep, beep telegram, and then they can speak over their microphones directly to news stations. So they would say, good morning, stations. This morning we will be dropping a special news piece about Governor Tim Walz being selected as the vice presidential candidate for the Harris campaign. And that was the first that anybody in that room had heard that Governor Walz would be selected. So immediately, everybody scrambles because we had been waiting for this announcement. Another fun fact about working for corporate networked news is that there are shared web pages. So our website had a page dedicated to, like, set aside to the announcement of the vice presidential candidate. And every news station in the country could have edit access to it and post it to their website. Which meant that if you've ever tried to pre-order or order an item that goes on sale and there's 1,000 people rushing to the webpage, it's the same deal. Where the website is just laggy and it's like nothing is really working and you kind of have to wait for everybody to clear out before you can properly use the webpage. Dwight, the station manager, walks into the newsroom holding his coffee. This was a power move that he pulled several times, actually. He would try to look as relaxed and chill as possible, but he's silently judging you. And if you don't pick up on he's giving you a test right now, he will store it in his memory for later when he's criticizing and belittling you. So what a
weird guy. Like, I just feel
ironically, this man,
or sorry, what were you saying?
This man sounds so much like a Kevin that I worked for.
Oh, sure. So yeah, power move. He just strolls into the newsroom holding his coffee and says, does anybody have a post about Tim Walz being selected as vice president yet? And I sort of look up from my desk. Again, there are 5 people in the newsroom. I look up from my desk and I said, oh yeah, CBS just made an announcement about it. We're trying to post it right now. 9 minutes have passed, by the way. This is not like, we're not late to cover this. 9 minutes have passed since that announcement came. And he just kind of looks at me and he says, oh, okay, shrugs and walks out. Another few minutes pass, and then I think our reporter, Haley, gets a phone call from Angela, who is not at the station yet. And asks, do you guys have something posted? And this is the first sign of like, oh, okay, management's kind of on our ass about getting a Tim Walz post up right now. And Haley says, oh yeah, we're working on it. The webpage isn't working for us right now. At some point, we do get it posted. Later that night, I think, or later that day, I think, when Angela got to the office, I get pulled into her office, and she says to me specifically, "Why didn't you post anything about Governor Walz?" And I just kind of look at her quizzically, like, one, I'm a photographer. Social media posts are like tangentially part of my job if I have time, but it's definitely not the main thing that I do. Two, there was a room full of reporters. Like, we had at least our anchor and our reporter and 2 producers who were present in the room with me. So I was very confused why I was being singled out. And Angela says, "Oh, well, you knew ahead of time, didn't you?" And I'm really confused at this point because
What?
Because no, I didn't. I absolutely did not know that Tim Walz would be the.
Yeah, didn't you have inside knowledge
Yeah.
about who the Harris
You were
campaign
there
nominated
with
for vice
Kamala.
presidency? Like, what
Yeah,
the fuck, dude?
So
You were there with Kamala. Do you deny it?
So apparently what happened, I pieced the series of events together ahead of time. She was genuinely upset at me for not sharing my insider information.
What?
What happened
Is
was...
she schizophrenic? Like,
So after Dwight left the newsroom, he must have called Angela, which preempted her calling our reporter. So he must have called Angela and informed her that I knew, because I had told him CBS had announced that Tim Walz was selected. And Angela interpreted that to mean that I, before I came to the office, knew. And she was upset after this complete miscommunication that I had not made a post preemptively before the announcement was made. And that, like, 9-minute delay would stay in their memory for probably the remainder of my tenure. I don't think she ever let go of the notion that I purposefully withheld information from the newsroom.
what? That's so crazy.
Yeah.
Like,
Actual fucking delusion.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
So Mr. Walz, I do not like you. Yeah. So and you can see in the bottom corner.
it has nothing to do with the guy or politician himself.
Yeah.
Like, just because of this.
And you can see in the bottom left, I put, "Oh, so you knew ahead of time?" No, I did not know ahead of time that I would get fired either. So the election comes and goes, and the news station, actually from our corporate offices, is told to lay off 20% of staff. So what happened is that our news station has a really hard time competing with our other, competition in the space, which is, on one hand, a locally owned news media giant. Basically, it's like one of the largest employee-owned news companies in the Midwest. And on the other hand, there's a news station that is like functionally one guy filming out of his garage. And we can't compete with either of them. So
Jeez.
for some reason, even though our viewership is great, we weren't getting sponsorships and advertisements on our programming. So corporate tells us to lay off 20% of staff, and there's no way around this. I heard of news stations losing all of their meteorologists. I heard of news stations losing like half of their reporters. No touches to management, no pay cuts for management, no cuts to sales staff who are the ones actually underperforming. No, take away the people who are just doing their jobs, because here's the fun, dirty secret about news coverage. It doesn't make money at all. Like, you can put all the work you want into a really well thought out piece, but if you don't have a sponsor who is paying you to do it, you will make $0, because it's just not, that's not how the industry is designed. Very few companies have had success with, the paid memberships. You got your New York Times paywall. Try being a local news station, getting your viewers to pay for your service. It just doesn't happen. So sales staff was underperforming, and because of that, there were layoffs. I'll mention briefly here Frank, who I know is going to watch this video. I don't think he's watching live, but I know he's going to watch
Frank,
this video.
hi Frank, how you doing?
Frank was maybe a year or two away from fully retiring. He had like 40 years at the company. You know, he was their webmaster, handling all of their web pages. Kind of important for a news station that insists they're going to be, you know, web first and media first. Laid him off and then just reassigned his duties to a bunch of people who had no idea what he does. And like up to 90 days after Frank was let go, he actually received phone calls from the station asking and somewhat begging for him to tell them how he did his job and what tools he used. He gave,
but not to come back.
But not to come back. Absolutely not. Nope. Not to come back.
Just to tell the new people they replaced him with what to do and how to do it. But they're not going to rehire him or give him anything for it. Like,
so,
honestly, he was too generous. Like,
yeah, no,
that
straight up.
reminds me of a church that I interviewed with. I drove all the way down from Birmingham to the coast, interviewed with them, and they ended up not going. Well, one, I didn't want to work for them after seeing them in person and seeing how they operated, but then also they didn't want me either. So it's like, okay, yeah, we don't want each other. Whatever, we'll go. About 2 months later, I get an email from them asking if I wanted to be their temporary interim production director while they found someone that they wanted to be their permanent production director.
Wow.
So I'm good enough to do the job, just not permanently. Okay.
Yeah.
it's absurd.
So the reason I bring up these layoffs, I mean, one, because the news station was chronically mismanaged, and I just think it's a really heartbreaking story. Two, we did let go of several people. I think some of our sales staff did wind up going, either voluntarily or they were fired. And I, like I mentioned, was not under contract, so corporate could have axed me if they wanted to. I'm fairly certain the reason that I survived that first round of layoffs was because they didn't think the morning news team could function with just two producers and one reporter. I think they smartly knew that they needed at least one other warm body to go and get footage in case like there was a fire that needed to be recorded, but also a live interview that was scheduled. So I think that's why I managed to just kind of sneak through the first round of layoffs, was because they still thought the morning news team needed me. So the next little mini story I will tell is one of Dwight, very specifically Dwight. And everybody that I worked with has a different like specific day that they feel like is the worst day that they've ever worked at that station. But this, I think, takes the cake for me. Essentially what happened, this is a classic setup. Either Dwight or corporate told Angela, our news director, that there needed to be more weather segments. We run, I think, one weather segment every half hour and a mini weather like catch-up segment every 15 minutes. To sort of, if the idea is that if someone's just tuning in and all they need to know is the headlines and the weather, they can get that just about no matter when they tuned in. Corporate saw that people indicate in, questionnaires the reason they tune into the news is for weather, and decided, oh, okay, that means there should be weather literally every block. Like, there should not be 5 minutes that pass without a weather segment. And like I mentioned before,
that feels like the plane diagram. I mean, the survivors get biased. Like literally. Like, oh, people must really like the weather. We're gonna do only weather now.
And
this sounds like satire.
Congratulations, you've invented the Weather Channel. What do you mean the Weather Channel doesn't have 100% viewership 24/7?
So Angela was told she needed to make this revision. She basically procrastinated it, and there are a number of reasons. I will give her this. Her personal life is a mess. So being able to
Hi,
take
Angela.
on the responsibilities of a news director and also production director when they fired the production director and never rehired somebody, so she was in charge of 2 departments, being able to even kind of handle that without, self-oofing, I give her props, truly. But she should have pushed back against management and said, this is not my responsibility and or I need assistance. And she never did, because any sign of weakness at that workplace was seen as, blood in the water. And as soon as you make one mistake, everybody was afraid they were going to get fired.
Oh, so Angela was a victim too, really. She was just higher up on the food chain.
We're all
I will
victims
get
of
to that.
capitalism.
I will get to that because Angela played her part. What's up?
They want to just do like weather every block.
Yes, literally weather every single block with news service.
Literally, just
no. That's actually pretty normal.
The thing is, that's not how we had done things for at least since I had been there, and as far as I know, it had never been to that extent. Because it was multiple times. There would be, if you had a 7-minute block, you had weather at the top, and then news, and then weather to close, and then the next segment was just weather, and then the next segment was weather and then news, and then the next segment was weather and then news and then weather. And prior to this, we had only touched on weather 4 times an hour. So going from that to once every 5 to 7 minutes really broke up our flow. So not just, I'm not saying that like the system was whack. I'm saying we had no time to prep because she made all of these changes unilaterally. She changed our rundown, which is the master spreadsheet that you build a show from. She changed the rundown the night before we had to go on air with these changes after telling nobody and only giving Kevin a 5-minute phone call saying, hey, I added some more weather segments to your shows. Hangs up. So we all got in and we're looking at these rundowns, which we're very used to, and we see that there are these segments that also include the lowest quality, lowest effort graphics you've ever seen. Like basically all she did was take our news headline graphic, add a little twinkly star sound effect, and make different headlines for I don't even remember all of them, but like traffic, weather, developing like storm weather, and these were inflexible. So one of them had to be traffic. One of them had to be, the next, next weather maker, I think was the way it was framed. Even if it was going to be a clear blue day, we still had to have a storm forecast in there somewhere because she had not done any effort and just kind of expected us to make it happen after she told nobody about these changes until they were already implemented. Because we could have clarified. More importantly, we could have rehearsed, because not having time to rehearse when you're live on the air is crucial. We had so many anchors basically fumbling because they had never read these scripts before. They had no idea these changes were coming. The only people who were told were the producers. And like I said, the anchors didn't show up until 5 minutes before broadcast. So we had to explain all of this to them.
That's kind of a big failing on the anchors then at that point, because you should ideally be there like an hour beforehand so you can actually like get a feel for the show and read partially some of the scripts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they never did that. They basically sat down at the desk and Ron Burgundied their way through the whole script.
Brilliant stuff.
Yeah, and so all of this happened. It was a disaster. I think me and one of the production guys took a running list of like 30 to 40 instances of failures on air because, among other things, production had no idea this change was coming. So they had 7 new graphics that all run in a completely different way to our normal graphics. Regularly, you pull up a graphics channel and you run your graphics that way. But these were all because she had put no effort in and didn't ask anyone how anything worked. She just recorded MP4 video files that we had to play as though they were regular like SOTs, like sound on tape videos. It was hilarious. So cascade of errors on the part of management because they communicated with nobody. And we as a group approached Angela and said, hey, this really didn't go well. We need to have a sit-down conversation about this. And so Angela pulls all of us into a room, and then Dwight walks in, coffee mug in hand, real casual. He says nothing until the end of our conversation where, no, that's what it was. The beginning, he didn't even listen to our complaints. He walks in at the start, says, I just want to tell all of you that this is a team of professionals, and you should have been able to handle this. Drinks from his coffee mug and walks out. Like, he had zero interest in listening to any
What a
of his
guy.
complaints. He just wanted
The man,
Fragile masculinity wins again, baby. Let's go. Let's fucking go.
the
What a
man saw
fucking
the
guy.
sip tea meme one too many times and thought he could emulate it.
He's just, I don't
Sips
understand.
tea, said, skill issue, I guess.
Yeah.
And then just walked out.
So that was sort of a microcosm of management having no interest, like telling us how to do our jobs and having no interest in actually helping us. So I thought that getting away from the newsroom would save me. I was actually, for a long time, while I was at that station, looking for a different position than photographer, because I recognized that being the lowest person on the totem pole meant that my job security was almost non-existent. I have some trauma from getting fired before, from a position that I thought I was fully qualified for and that all of my colleagues liked me in. So I really wanted to escape from this highly vulnerable position and go somewhere else. So I thought getting into the production room instead of the newsroom would save me. I spent all of 2 weeks in the production room before I was terminated. So, among other things, it was an evening shift, which meant I didn't have to wake up at 1 a.m. anymore. I could go into work at 4 and leave at midnight, which is okay. And it's still work that I really like doing, especially graphics. I asked multiple people if they would be interested in me making motion graphics for them. One of our creative department, quote unquote, the people who make advertisements and like reality TV shows, asked me to make a graphics package for them, and I did, and they loved it. So after all of that, in the production room, I got a feel for how the job would work. It's a little bit stressful because it was also master control. I had to, check the programming and make sure that everything was being aired on time and accurately. It was the kind of job where if you make one mistake with a 1 or a 0, typing it into a time code, you could accidentally lose the station like $3,000 of paid advertising because it just wouldn't air. And of course, management literally never goes back to the production room, even though Angela technically was the manager of production. She had no idea how it worked. She would very often walk in and have like a half-assed understanding. It was like the scene in Chernobyl where the guy says, "Explain to me how a fusion reactor works. Now what do I need you for?" Except she had no idea how the fusion reactor worked.
My God.
Yeah. So
This sounds like the pastor that I used to work for.
Jesse, you have some terrible former bosses.
I do.
So I thought that being away from the newsroom would save me, except like I said, Angela was still my manager, which meant all of her preconceived notions about me, the fact that I stand up for my coworkers. This is a story that I didn't tell yet, but I was an advocate for the mental health of my coworkers because I felt like they were being overworked. And I think that was a pretty justifiable take, honestly. And she did not like that one bit. She did not like me going to her and saying, "Hey, can you get some backup for Kevin? He's literally dying." Like I wrote down on sticky notes all of the things that concerned me that Kevin would say while we were on shift together. He'd say stuff like, I have nothing to live for. There is no reason for me to be here. The only thing people at this station know me for is crossing off the day on the calendar, because he would do that at the start of the morning. Really worrying stuff. He felt like he was doing 1,000.
He just needs a hug.
I know.
Poor guy.
It broke my heart. So yeah, and I went to our HR department, quote unquote. It was one lady who would then send all of our complaints to corporate, because that's how you handle human resources, right? So I went to her, and that apparently had some backsplash onto Angela, because corporate was probably asking her, "Why are you letting your employees overwork themselves and say things like this, and then, never have a face-to-face conversation with any of us on the morning team?" So, yeah, she was still my manager. So let's play a game called "What Did Skipty Get Fired For?" I have
Not being psychic.
I have
Is it multiple choice?
It is. So I have re-randomized names. Some of the names present here are, Kevin, Angela, Dwight, but they have been changed around again. So any one of these people is me. One of them is me, and could be someone that has come up in this presentation already. So number 1, Carol. Carol showed up to work hungover, was consistently late, and left for weeks at a time without, by the way, the time off or the paid vacation to cover it, to go to beauty pageants.
Like for herself, or like her daughter?
For herself.
That's weird.
She was a pageant queen.
Beauty pageants are already like a deeply weird thing. But like, I don't know, man. Sorry.
Siberia's whack.
It is. Cody undertook a huge project and refused to ask for help, leading to packages and videos not getting done until the last possible minute. And when I mentioned before that the news director's job is to proof all of the content that gets aired, Cody was writing scripts and getting them filmed and edited like within minutes of them needing to be live on television. So no opportunity to proof, and you really just kind of had to hope that the news director agreed with whatever was being said.
Wait, Cody's not here. He's not in the call.
Cody is, in fact, not here. No relation. Susan was constantly paranoid about being fired, so she belittled her coworkers and was generally manic. This was probably one of the most egregious instances. Susan, over the radio or the IFB, was talking about a specific coworker, calling them little girl, even though we're all fucking adults, and complaining that someone was out to get her job, even though all of us were employed by the same news station and nobody was competing for anyone else's role. This was just rampant paranoia. Emma had no idea what equipment to use due to lack of training, and so would take gear from other departments without permission, leading to being cornered. Actually, Emma was given a quote talking to, asking where a piece of equipment was, and then it was revealed apparently that they had her on security cameras taking the equipment, but just sat on that information for like a month waiting for the equipment to reappear. So that was pretty funny. They just waited. Zoe took credit for her colleagues' work, procrastinated important deadlines, and expected constant special treatment from upper management. And Gus called his coworkers needy bitches, missed a sponsored recording session, and explained that he was out drinking too late with the boys. That was the text.
Giga Chad.
That was the text that was sent to
work for you. You all work for me. Leaves.
So
Chad moved, to be fair.
So all 6 of these examples actually happened at the news station, and one of them is me. So what did I get fired for?
This is the part where you reveal it's not multiple choice and it's all 6 of these somehow That's my official guess.
Okay, you say it's
all of
you
these.
say it's all of them. You say
Probably
I did all
Cody, I would imagine.
Okay.
Taking a huge project, thinking it'll secure your job security, and not asking for help.
If I have a second guess, because I think I kind of remember what you talked about. I think it might have been Emma, that thing, that incident.
Yeah, as I say, I think you actually told me at one point, so I think I do know what it is.
Thank you for whoever is saying it's Gus. I wish I was.
It's definitely Carol.
Showed up hungover and went to beauty pageants. Absolutely.
Yeah, going to beauty pageants.
Yeah.
Skipty, you're being mean. You've told me what it is. It's none of these.
So Tyler,
I was right. It's none of the
Tyler, with the spoilers. So I am on this list. I am Emma. Basically what happened was I didn't understand that our cameras had the ability to have 2 microphones plugged into them at once. So I went up to the creative department and found that they had a mixer, which was exactly the kind of piece of equipment that I would need for that, and used it at a live shot, and then went on vacation and came back, and they thought I stole it. It was literally in my camera bag, and if they had so they had me on security cameras taking the mixer, and if they had just watched it all the way through, they would have seen that I put it in the camera bag. Or if management ever watched our show, they would have seen me using that mixer. And multiple times prior to that, I was told that the creative department and the news department share equipment, so it was really weird for me to be confronted about this. But I wasn't fired for that. That happened really early on at my time at the news station. As far as I know, that didn't even really affect what ultimately wound up happening. Tyler's correct. It was something completely different. So I do very briefly want to touch on all 5 of the rest of the people on here. So Cody is actually Kevin, the producer, because he apparently didn't think he had enough on his plate. He undertook a video
This
series.
poor guy's a masochist, man.
Yes, he undertook a video project like I think 90 days before the election to cover every single president of the United States in order.
What?
Daily uploads. Like, and he would write like up to 5-minute scripts per video, and then he was.
No, this is me reacting like, you did what?
Yeah, and
Actually,
I tried
insane.
making YouTube shorts every day for like 2 weeks, and it about killed me.
all fucking 46 presidents
Yeah.
for what?
so
It's a lot of presidents.
yeah, and at one point, so he was getting really behind, like recording.
That's a president every 2 days.
That's a president every day. He had to do it daily for 45 days leading up to, or 46
Oh, I thought
days.
you said 90 days. What?
Yeah, sorry.
It's
Yeah.
worse.
It was way worse. It
Yep.
was like right up to the election. He had the idea. I think if he had the idea a week later, he wouldn't have had enough days to get the whole
Dude,
thing
I'm
filmed.
about to go to fucking Kevin, man. This is
Wait.
ridiculous. Like,
Do you have like a week or two lead up time before starting it?
Barely, because he was still producing the news
Even
every
if
day.
that's a big project. Doing something for all 40, because like, yeah, there's a lot of presidents like fucking William Henry Harrison that died fucking like a month after he was inaugurated because he gave a 4-hour speech in the rain in January and got pneumonia, and then he fucking died.
Oh, but it
But
was
yeah,
worse
for
than
every-
that, Jack. So it was countdown to the new president, and the idea was that he would give the whole spiel about how each president got elected. So it was
What?
yeah, it was nuts. It was such a huge project. It was
That's insane.
it was-
That's like literally not possible.
it was like the
What?
I would want like 3. Well, no, not 3 months. I'd probably want like 6 months to prep.
Yeah, you need like half a year for that at least. What?
I truly can't believe he got it done. At one point, I showed up early to edit his video for him because he was doing recording, grabbing footage, grabbing pictures, editing all on his own. So I showed up early and started editing, and boy was so burnt out and frustrated that as soon as he saw me doing the editing, he said, "I didn't ask you to do that, sir."
No wonder he wanted to fucking die. Like, holy
Yeah.
shit.
I can't.
What were they doing to this man?
I
Oh
can't
my
fathom.
god. I'm like actually starting like I was already like baffled at like this entire story. But like this is like genuinely like infuriating me that they're doing this to this poor old man.
Capitalism
I'm
wins
assuming that
again, baby.
I'm assuming that he's elderly because the picture that you used for him originally was
No,
of an elderly
he is-
fellow in the stock.
He is our age. He's like I said,
Oh.
fresh. Kevin is fresh out of college. And I wouldn't blame him if he never wants to work in news again.
No.
Oh, so he
fucking-
100% is
No, so
someone
he's
who
our
saw
age.
the Sips team
Poor
meme and
fucking
thought,
guy,
I want to do that.
Let's see. Susan wound up leaving the station after a very heated argument with management because Susan was paranoid that one of the reporters was going to steal her job as an anchor. Very, very strange thing to be paranoid about because your anchor position is contracted and they encourage renewing your contracts. So I have no idea. It was a self-fulfilling prophecy because as soon as she left, the opening opened up and the reporter got the anchor position. So I suppose, yeah, someone did.
It must
take
have been true.
When you left the position open, someone else took the job. Zoe, that's actually Angela. So here's a really fun thing that Angela would do. Reporters have like specialty coverage that they would do. A great example would be Kevin's long-running President's piece. And those can be submitted for Emmy nominations. I actually worked at a news station that has received Emmy awards. And you have to declare who, like, on your staff did the news coverage. And so Angela figured it was good enough to say that she did it because it was her news department, because the reporter's voice is present in the story, right? That's as good as credit.
Oh,
That's so. Yeah, you're getting paid in exposure, kid. Like, that's so fucking crazy.
Several times a news piece, an Emmy for a news piece or a specific piece of coverage was given to Angela, someone who had very little hands-on interaction with the coverage, and she would take full credit for it. The Emmys are in her office. Got it. So
that's actually disgusting.
As much as Angela is a victim of poor management, she also, on her own, makes bad
And just
decisions.
because you're a victim doesn't mean you're infallible.
There are no heroes in this story.
There is one hero, Gus. So let's talk about Gus very briefly. Gus was brought on as a reporter from. Let's just say he went to college at a very notoriously, like, a boys' campus, if you will. He had a
Like Ole Miss or something.
something
For the
like
boys.
that. He had a blog that he posted to that was the best places to get drunk while watching college football.
Yeah, Ole Miss.
Chad, Giga Chad.
That's very Ole Miss.
And while working for us, he hit on literally every female reporter, like, to the point where he would go up to one reporter and say, "Oh, you're so gorgeous, you're my soulmate," and she'd turn him down. And so, like, in the next sentence, he'd go to the next one and be like, "Babe, you gotta go out with me."
Johnny Bravo.
Literally Ole Miss, dude. Like,
Yeah, and so he specifically messaged one of the reporters after they asked him where the fuck his news piece was, because he was also chronically late with all of his coverage, and he would send back the most absurd texts. He literally said, "You're a needy bitch," when we asked where his video was that was due like days ago.
please tell me he spelled it Y-O-U-R.
Y-O-U-R. Oh,
Wrong your.
that I didn't see. And that text saying he was out drinking too late with the boys was sent directly to Angela. And it is worth noting, by the way, that through all of this, he was not fired.
that's incredible.
He stayed
passed
on.
every charisma
So let's
check. That's
just
so
address
insane.
for the fact
Like-
that this is the bar, all right? This is what we consider non-fireable offenses. None of these people were terminated for what they did. So I had to do something worse than Gus, right? I had to have done something horrible. So why I got fired? So there goes my hero. Yeah, Gus. He did eventually get terminated. It is worth pointing out, but for a completely different event. We went to.
Yeah, not the sexual harassment in the workplace.
I can forgive sexual harassment, but what they couldn't tolerate was insulting veterans.
You can forgive sexual harassment?
How dare you, you traitor.
Yeah,
You
It's okay.
fucking
So can the
liberal.
veterans.
they went to him and a reporter who was supposed to, like, set him on the right path, I think is how management phrased it. Were sent to a veterans event, and he was late to everything, didn't have any of his equipment, and then was complaining the whole time that he shouldn't even be doing any of this because it's, quote, not his job. Sir, you're a reporter.
What a
this
guy.
is your job.
Chad, like, all of us are just a bunch of nerds. He's living life, like, properly.
It is my favorite part of that story is that he got terminated from our news station, and he went to one of our competitors. He went to the news station that is one guy's garage and a green screen.
Amazing.
So the reason I got fired, and I'm gonna say this is more like reasons plural, because even though I was given one very specific reason, there's no fucking way this is what got me terminated. So the reason I was given was using Adobe editing software.
What?
What?
How
The
dare you?
industry standard?
Essentially, what happened was me and Frank, who I mentioned earlier, guy who was about to retire, right early on in my tenure, and I'm talking like within the first week or two, I figured out that we had to use this program to edit that was really slow and clunky. I didn't like using it. I knew that I could do way cooler stuff if I could use Adobe, and I knew our creative department had Adobe licenses. So I go to Frank and I said, hey, can you get me access to Creative Cloud, because I'd like to, edit faster and be able to use cool stuff.
They had Adobe licenses, so this isn't like this isn't like they had to go out of their way. Or you went like what?
So he got me approved. I was on the balance sheet for that news station for Adobe Creative Cloud. My name shows up under Creative. There's newsroom, and there's one person in the newsroom that had Adobe access, and it was me. But nobody else in the newsroom had access to Adobe, and that's important. So later on, during that round of layoffs, Frank gets laid off, and that kind of breaks a crucial piece of this of information here. Without Frank, specifically without his employee number, there is nobody on file who has authorized me to use Adobe. So they fired the one guy who gave me permission to use it.
This is unreal.
Fast forward.
I'm fucking crying, dude. I'm sorry. I know this is like a terrible event that happened in your life, and this is like just unbelievable. I have to laugh so I don't cry.
No,
like,
please. This is so
this
absurd.
Is unbelievable.
Please cry.
Please cry.
Reasons and commissars from 40K see that and go, "That's bullshit."
Brother, this is what the ancients called Microsoft Excel.
So
Mila in the chat said, "We will pay for the license, but don't you dare touch it, kid."
Yeah.
Like,
and that's pretty much exactly how it went. So without a paper trail, fast forward to me moving from the newsroom to the production room. None of this would have mattered if I had just stayed in the newsroom, I'm fairly certain, because I re-downloaded Adobe, a piece of software that we have an employee access portal for, not just me going to the Adobe website, but I actually logged into the company website, and there is a download link for Adobe. So that's where I downloaded Creative Cloud from, in front of our head IT technician, who was watching me do it and gave me the access code to do it. So he gives me permission to do that. I leave that night. So this happens overnight. I come back in, and here's what's really funny. Haley, the reporter, had gotten a few kind of, rude, I would even say borderline hateful messages, because she's a young woman who is on television, and so people are going to criticize you for whatever reason they want.
Existing
America moment.
So someone sent a rudely worded email. I'm pretty sure it was about like either a dress or the way her hair was. It was just like they said she looked unprofessional for one reason or another. And Angela sent an email back to that viewer saying, "Hey, our reporters are held to very high standards, and we have no issue with the way they appear on television. If you have a problem with this, please don't directly message them to lower their spirits. That's really rude, and we don't appreciate it." And I liked that.
Rare Angela W.
Yeah, there you go, Angela.
So I walked to her office and I said, "Hey, Angela, I just wanted to thank you for standing up for Haley, because I was kind of concerned, leaving the morning team, that she wouldn't have anyone who had her back in case viewers were rude to her, because I liked raising morale. If you guys and me ever work in an office together, I think you will find that I am a true delight. I enjoy making people happy, coming up with some funny ha-has to share with everyone, bringing baked goods to my workplace. I did that. So
you're a mother hen like me.
Yeah, I want to take care of everyone, make sure everyone's feeling good. So I go back to Angela's office and I say, "Hey, thank you for sticking up for our reporter." And Angela says, "Hey, can you close the door?" So So the story they told themselves. Reminder that my shift starts at 4 in the afternoon. So the full conversation from seeing that I downloaded Adobe to deciding to terminate me happened before I got to work and without me present. They had already made the decision to fire me by the time I walked in the door. So
That's insane.
the version of the story that they had was that me, had somehow gone over the heads of management to get authorization to use Adobe, and or, because they didn't actually know that I was using it through the company, that I was using personal apps. That was the exact wording, that I was using, quote, personal apps on company computers. The other part of the story is that the old-ass computer that I was using in the newsroom after I left had to get wiped, and they had the most junior technician on the team do it, so he didn't understand that you can just factory reset Windows and reinstall what you need. He thought that he had to go through and manually uninstall everything, including, the giant cache that Adobe builds up over time, and he couldn't figure out where that was because Adobe's cache is kind of hidden in the system files. It's easy to clear out, but all of that pointed to me using Adobe as a personal app, and in Dwight's words, destroying their computer. The computer was from 2015. It hadn't been properly updated until like halfway through me working there. It was still running Windows 10, and Windows 11 Office Edition has been out for years. So that was pretty funny. So yeah, using personal apps on company computers was the official reason I was fired, because there was no paper trail for my authorization. And there was no way for me to even argue my point, because Dwight was just sitting there drinking his fucking coffee saying, "The decision's been made. You need to leave. The decision's been made already. There's no
What a
changing it.
fucking
The
guy,
decision's
man.
been
And it's
made."
not even like you were dicking around, like playing Halo or something
was
on your
using it
computer. You
to
were
make
using
the
fucking
product better.
Adobe.
What is it about horrible bosses and the phrase "the decision's been made"?
I know, because he doesn't want to undo that, even though everyone, and I
Because that might admit he made a mistake or did something wrong, and that's not possible.
Yeah. Everyone on my team fought for me to come back. The supervisor of the production department asked for me to be returned because he had literally spent the last 2 weeks training me in a new position, and didn't want to retrain anyone. Fun fact, they really haven't hired anybody since I left. They haven't hired anyone for the newsroom or production, as far as I know. So my old colleagues asked for the decision to be undone. They all went to bat for me. I got letters of recommendation for everybody. Everyone wanted this to be undone because it was a clear misunderstanding and clerical error, and there was no getting around it. According to Dwight, there was absolutely no possible way for us to unfire me or rehire me. And when I asked, would I have been fired without this incident having occurred, me downloading Adobe on a company computer, he said, well, it was sort of the straw that broke the camel's back. So here are the other two reasons that I think I was fired, because he did not elaborate. My mouse stopped working. So first was standing up for my coworkers. Kevin took on that gigantic project and was just basically hating life. Our reporter Haley was all over the place. She felt like management had such gigantic expectations of her because they really didn't vet, her ability to do the job. They just hired her straight out of college and assumed that it would be fine. So multiple times I would go to our HR representative and say, hey, my coworkers feel really burned out and like management's not listening to them. And then HR would go to our managers, and our managers would say, why are you bad-mouthing us to HR? So that was really frustrating.
that's gotta be a breach of some sort of like worker privacy. Like, you can't just harass HR and be like, what are our employees saying to you? Like, what?
Yeah. Well, that was the thing. HR's first instinct was to talk to management about our complaints. So management knew that.
Yeah, so HR did their job, but then the management took it out on everyone that you had complaints.
And then the last reason, I think, was exceeding my station. This, I mean, this is a little more obvious, and I think you could, in your brain, perhaps justify it. I wanted to do other jobs around the station routinely. I went to creative and asked them if they needed help. I went to production and asked them if they needed help. I made graphics for people. I helped Kevin edit. I did a lot of things that weren't posting Facebook posts, which is what they really wanted me to do. All that station wants out of anybody that works there is for them to post on Facebook under the corporate handle. That's all they want. That's literally the only thing they wanted, and I wasn't doing
Facebook slop.
Yeah, that is the only thing they want, is posts to web and posts to social media. Literally everything else didn't matter to them, so no matter how helpful I was being, no matter how many of my colleagues liked me, nothing was going to change the fact that I wasn't posting on social media enough, and they were upset about it.
Stories like this really make you wonder why local news stations are dying.
Mad Milla, but shouldn't taking initiative to help colleagues be seen as a positive? You would think that. Anyway.
Not if you're that guy, Gus.
Yeah, not if your entire management staff
Gus was
are
the
a bunch of
guy.
Yeah, when your entire management staff are a bunch of people that grew up in an environment that rewards narcissism and fragile masculine ego, like, yeah, it's doomed from the start, and it doesn't matter. See, that's the thing with these people, right? Like, it doesn't matter if the news, like that whole business can completely implode, and they will never take responsibility. They will never take authority for their actions, and it'll always be somebody else's fault. It's always this and this and that. And those people, unfortunately, continue to get positions of power, continue to be rewarded, and they just blaze a trail of destruction behind them. And it sucks. So
which is why we should all quit our jobs.
Like, it's just infuriating.
So, back to my roots then. I tried news. I still get to make news for you guys. That's fun. I still get to make YouTube videos. They can't take that away from me. I mean, Swag could fire me, I guess. There's that. So 3 years ago, as you can see, this is a thumbnail from one of my old YouTube videos. I made videos about home theaters. I really liked making, videos about projectors and speakers and how to do stuff on a budget. So right near my house, like within walking distance, is an unnamed big blue and yellow electronics store. And they happened to have a full-time with benefits position open in their management/leadership team for a home theater specialist. So that is what I am doing now. And honestly, even though retail is kind of stressful, my God, I have never had those kinds of managers come through the door. The people who I'm managed by are way more relaxed. It's kind of like night and day difference how stressed everybody was at the news station versus how relaxed the environment I'm in is now. Like, my coworkers are all, young like me, and we all wear headsets all day. So basically it's like being in an 8-hour Discord call because everyone's just making stupid ass skibbity toilet call outs all day long.
Amazing.
It is work. But honestly, what I want is for this channel to become large enough that I can just do this, because I am so tired of corporate American culture. I truly just want to make good content and have people pay me for the good content. That's it. That's all I want.
Hell yeah, brother.
I fucking get it, man. I'm trying to do something similar, which will be kind of my next presentation.
And I do want to make a bit of an aside here. For anyone who's younger listening to the video, job hunting or whatever, I would highly recommend going into retail as well, just to parrot what Skipty is saying. Because as someone who's worked manual labor, I've worked in the customer service industry and I've worked in the food service industry. Customer service is by far, in a way, the least demanding on you, first of all. And like Skipty said, it's the most laid back and friendly environment, I would say, out of any of the 3 labor fields that are easy for non-college graduate
applicants,
potential employees to go into. Like, it's best for your mind, best for your body. Go into retail if you absolutely need to. You need a job.
If you need to pay bills, because that's the thing. Like I said at the start of this, I'm pregnant. All right, I couldn't not have a job.
You gotta pay the bills.
There was absolutely no possible way for me to just ride this out. My lease was up, sure, and I could have tried to move somewhere else and restart, but goddamn, did I not want to move with a pregnant woman, and goddamn, did I not want to have to reapply to Medicaid, because that was a whole process, and it's getting worse now. So
it's literally riding.
So yeah, I am happy that I landed something secure with benefits that is full time and pays the bills. If you work, especially in a corporate office, just quit. Just walk out the door right now, because all it takes is maybe a day and a half of nobody in the office accepting the shit of their managers, and they'll see right freaking quick how much better they should be treating us. So those are my closing thoughts. Don't run your company at the bare minimum and expect them to adapt to sudden changes with no issues. Don't demand your team follow your exact directions without ever bothering to show up to the office. And please, if you want to hire me, my email is on screen.
Smells like contact.